Okay, so let's talk about a typical day for working parents with a newborn. So my day starts off at about 5 or 5:30. I will tend to wake up and do one of my hobbies first. So it will either be reading or journaling or even working out. Approximately about half an hour or 45 minutes after that, I will prepare myself for the day ahead. So I'll shower, I'll probably grab a quick bite to eat. Also, if I do have energy and time, I will prepare breakfast and lunch for both my wife and I. Around the same time, my wife will wake up and she will prepare herself to get ready. So while my wife is getting ready, I'm already set for work. So I will prepare our daughter for her school day. So that will mean that I will wipe her down, change her into her school clothes. And I will also check her bag to ensure that all the daily necessities are there. So things like pampers and milk are properly packed in her school bag. So what happens next is that my wife and I will take a 20-minute walk to her childcare center. So my first piece of advice is that if you can delegate tasks between you and your partner, do so. So if you can have one parent send and pick up the child, go ahead and do that because you can save a lot of energy. You don't necessarily have to have both parents pick up and send the child to childcare center. But over the past few months, my wife has been following myself to send our daughter to school. And I don't blame her. As newborn parents, you tend to worry a lot. And seeing your child reach safely at school puts your mind at ease, especially if you have a long day at work. So after checking in our child at the childcare center, we will both head to our workplaces. We both have 9 to 5 jobs. So while we are at work, we will get regular updates from the childcare center via an app that they have provided. This will actually depend on your childcare center itself, whether they have an app to track everything. For us, the childcare center that we are using, they will provide regular updates up to 18 months. So everything that our daughter does throughout the day, for example, napping, changing of diapers, or even eating, we will get updates via the app, which for us has been very useful, especially to track patterns like sleeping pattern and how much she eats throughout the day. So my wife will end her work slightly earlier and she will come home 2 hours before me. When she reaches home, she will prepare two things for our daughter. Number one is her milk and also the sterilizer. The sterilizer, like the name implies, will be used to sterilize things like her milk bottle when she come home and also the eating utensils that our daughter uses. With any additional time, my wife will tend to wind down for the day, so shower and rest up before we come home. So like I mentioned earlier, 2 hours after that, I will leave work and pick up our daughter and make the same 20-minute walk back home. What happens next is actually dependent on our daughter, whether she is awake or she is asleep when she reaches home. So there is scenario A and scenario B. So let's go with scenario B first. For example, let's say she is asleep when she reaches home. When she is asleep when she reaches home, what we will do is we will have our dinner first. So this is the second piece of advice I would like to give newborn parents is that if you have a basic necessity that you need to take care of first, do that before attending to your child. So for example, if you need to eat, take 10 minutes, grab a quick bite, and then tend to your child. If you are really, really, really worn out and you need to sleep, take a 10-minute nap and then attend to your child. Because if you keep pushing that aside, what happens is that you tend to get tired, hungry, and eventually you will get very angry and very impatient. And that is not good for everybody involved. So usually we will have our dinner when she is asleep, and about half an hour or so she will wake up, which is scenario A. So let's say she is awake when she reaches home. The first thing that we'll do is we will shower her first. So that is my other piece of advice for parents is that if your child comes home from the childcare center, do immediately shower him or her, because in cases where there are a lot of outbreaks, for example HFMD or COVID outbreaks I would recommend you shower your child first before letting them play in their playpen, for example. And that will take about half an hour or so. After showering her, we will all move to the dining room. In this scenario where she comes home and she is awake, we all haven't had our dinner. What happens is that my wife will feed our daughter her dinner first. That will take about 15 minutes or so. And in that 15 minutes, I will consume and finish my dinner. Once my daughter and I finishes our dinner, my wife will have her dinner and I will tend to our daughter. She is at the stage where she needs constant attention, so I don't foresee that changing anytime soon, and I will tend to her. We will play inside her playpen, and yeah. So after dinner, we have about 60 to 90 minutes left for the rest of the day or the rest of the evening. Usually I have something planned for every day of the week. For example, house chores. So things like washing the toilet, organizing the house, video conferencing with our parents, basically our daughter's grandparents. We will also have days set aside for prepping food as well. So my other piece of advice for parents is that you are not going to be able to do a lot of things, especially on a weekday. So set your standards lower, and as long as you can do one thing a day, that I think is a successful day. It is something that I am still trying to grasp because I tend to want to do a lot of things on a specific work day, and I'll get disappointed if nothing gets done. So after our house chores or whatever that we need to do, we will prepare her bag for the next day. So we will sterilize her bottles, we will top up her milk, we will also top up the number of diapers that she has in her bag. So at about around 9 o'clock or so, she will tend to get hungry despite of how much she ate during dinner. This is because I think the body knows that she needs to go to sleep, so she will tend to cry for milk. So at about 9 o'clock, she will have a second feeding of milk. At this age of 9 months, that is approximately about 120 to 140 ml of formula. And after that, she is usually down for the night. So at about 9 o'clock, let's say if I need to attend to some work matters, I'll do that. My wife will tend to want to wind down and then catch up on some of her shows, play some video games. That's not to say I don't play games. I do play games. I will tend to work first and then I will play video games or read after that. So as a good habit, we will tend to try to sleep at about 10 to 10:15 because obviously we have to repeat the entire cycle again the next day. So that's it. That's everything that we go through in a typical weekday. So I will see everyone in the next video. Bye.